What's good, YouTube fam? It's your boy Tony, aka the Senator of Chaos and Controversy, and let's see how I could address this while walking on eggshells. Okay, so pretty much, I seen two things. I seen this one guy post a video going smooth the hell off, talking about people who didn't get the jab. They're being inconsiderate. His wife had to go in because she got cancer, and it's not fair to her that there's attention taken away from her because they have to focus on people who got COVID or whatever, and how he can determine who wasn't. You know, is beyond me unless you're right there in people's business, hearing all their information being said to the receptionist. That's what I'm saying. So pretty much, his rant and his anger was misplaced. Okay. I'm not saying that I don't sympathize with the fact that his, wife has cancer and stuff, because, it's an unfortunate thing that people have to deal with. But when you direct your anger because you're already feeling some kind of way about the situation that's taking place, it's not fair to other people based on the choice that they make. First of all, why don't you get mad at the situation for what it's worth? Won't you go ask the appropriate questions as to why this thing hit us in the first place? Who was responsible for that? Why don't we start there? Then from there, we could go on under the misconception of what they had told us about, hey, if you got this, you will be, protected, which, and then when people have the right, just like, I say it like this: I can't tell nobody, or would I be against anybody, or would I have any animosity towards anybody if they made a choice to get the jab. As I would not put anybody down for making the choice to not get the jab. You know what I'm saying? And Ricky Manor made a good point. Ricky Manor had made a very, very, very hit the nail on the head mark when he said all these people that they're trying to save from the Taliban, or however that situation is transpiring, that they're bringing them all over here. No mask mandates. They're not being, and there was other things that brought about the curiosity of when this discussion has taken place, and how they had got YouTube to comply with people not being able to have this discussion, which is, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, how do we promote, advertise falsely that this is a country where you have rights, freedoms, this, that, and everything else, for that to have a contradiction to it? And then when you point that out, you got somebody that sit there and try to justify the contradiction. Like, and okay, so now I'm gonna play the devil's advocate. Now I'm going to be the antagonist. Trigger warning: I am going to be the antagonist. So just like people like to say that other people are ignorant for whatever reason, because of them being insensitive or whatever the case may be. All right. On one side of the argument, I can understand where people are coming from. You hear me? I understand where people are coming from because it's a legitimate concern. If you are exposed and you have, COVID or whatever, you take into consideration the factor and in regards to one's health. I get that. You don't get no argument from me. You don't. I sympathize with you. I understand. But on the flip side of that coin, when people have a legitimate reason to be a little bit apprehensive about something because they want to fully understand what it is that is going into their system, they want to see, as far as the long term aspects go, is this cool? Because we all know what America does when it comes to, you know, running these studies, that's mostly done on animals before it goes to human trials. And especially when it comes to the V. But then people get so emotionally involved and emotionally charged and angered and triggered. Like I wait, I'm beginning to understand. I'm beginning to understand how division is so successful. Why it works? Because all you have to do is put that ingredient of fear into the pot, and you just watch how like shit just run amok. I look at all the things that people say, like, when you say, oh, you know what, the Jews at one time was responsible for all the hardships or whatever the shit that was going on in Germany, so they were the scapegoats. So then that justified the genocide, okay? And that was beyond the act of tyranny, beyond the act of dehumanization, acts against humanity, just sheer and pure fear mongering. Okay. The same thing was implemented like when the Emancipation Proclamation came into play, when there was freed slaves, and then what was the thing that those who didn't approve of it say? Oh, protect your women and protect your child and stuff, because these Negroes are gonna come rape your women and do this to your child and kill them and do all this other stuff. So it was like, okay, so they threw that fear mongering ingredient into the equation. Okay. Then you had it with the AIDS epidemic. How they said it was only something that people who entertain homosexuality. Fear mongering. It's the only people who engage with that type of lifestyle are only susceptible to getting AIDS. Well, we found that to be false, didn't we? Right. Okay. Um, when it came to talking about illegal immigrants, right? How they were gonna come take your jobs, how they're all criminals, and this, that, and everything else, making a generalization about all illegal immigrants, right? Because let's not, consider the fact that, everybody that came from, I don't know, Portugal, Haiti, Africa, Cuba, the Dominican Republic, Italy, all those immigrants, just skip over that situation. But let's just focus on Mexicans, right? Okay, fear mongering. Okay. Uh, then you get into this whole debate where now it went from, I don't know. Let's throw all white people into the group of being all racist. All white people hate every black person in this country. They're out to get you. Fear mongering. Now Now you got this thing with the those who got the jab versus those who didn't get the jab. At what point do we draw the line in the sand and say enough of this nonsense? Some of these things that I put on the table intentionally, being a bit condescending in the tone in which I presented it, was to make a point. Because most of which is why the reason why some of these things happen, why some of these things are entertained, is because I see it where you get one side that goes along just to get along because they don't want to cause any friction, and they'll demonize somebody else. And they'll throw every variable out there to make what they feel or what they think valid. But then when you start bringing in receipts to justify the questioning on certain things, they don't have anything to rebuttal that. Instead, they resort to insults. They get emotionally charged, angered, want to go in on the attack. So that pretty much eliminates the option of having a civil discussion, sitting down and discussing the pros and cons of the concerns that people have the right to have. Why do we sit there and talk about all these rights that are awarded to us if we can't even practice them without any repercussions? Why is there always a penalty for discussion? And nobody can sincerely answer that question. Instead, they deflect from, or they got some snarky little comeback. But in all sincerity, why is there a penalty for discussions? Why can we not have them? Who does it affect? Because here's the problem. See, the censorship, they say, is geared towards protecting people from misinformation. But also, what they neglect to say is that half-truths is also a contributing factor to misinformation. Because when you come out with something, because people are trying to break things down, study it, come up with immediate results to satisfy the need to know, the want to know. You're going to fumble the ball somewhere along the way. It tends to happen. It has happened. And then when the other team goes and picks up the ball and starts running towards the goal, what do you want to do? You want to prevent them from making a touchdown. Why? Why? Again, if things weren't so suspect, if there weren't any red flags that rose to the occasion for there to be even a question or a hint or some doubt to come into play, I don't think we would have this conflict. But because there is, because of what you learn, especially through the process of this whole pandemic that we all had to engage with unwillingly, you start to see how people react, which is very interesting. Because if this was the social experiment, the question is, if this was the social experiment, who passed and who failed? Something to think about. And hey, YouTube, just for disclaimer purposes, I did not give out any medical information. I did not tell people what they should or shouldn't do. It was just a surface with a vague discussion that didn't, you know. So, anyway, until next time, until next video, please excuse the distraction because I'm getting all these notifications that are coming through while I was trying to give my presentation on this certain topic of discussion. But please tell me what you think. Like, dislike, share, subscribe, and all of that. And you already know what I'm gonna hit you with.